All right. Good morning. Hope everyone is well. Hope you had a good Memorial Day weekend. I know we're kind of getting started out right here Tuesday morning, 10 o'clock on this Tech Tuesday. So my name is Damon Carl Canuto here with Rexel. Today we have a presentation on improving manufacturing productivity through quality asset management. This is delivered by Rich Hogg out of Rockwell Automation with a live Q&A to follow. This presentation was pre-recorded, so if you do have any questions or anything like that, please type them into the chat or ask them at the end of the session. And please remember to mute your lines just to minimize any background noise. So with that said, let's get things started, and I will introduce Rich Hogg.
Good morning or afternoon, depending on where you might reside. I appreciate everyone carving some time out of their day today to take a gander at what we're getting ready to present through this webinar. My name is Rich Hogg. I'm with Rockwell. I've been with Rockwell for maybe roughly 20 years. My background is in reliability and maintenance. I did that prior to Rockwell as well. As you can see through the title, driving productivity through quality asset management. What I'd like to do today is, I guess, first just show you the agenda. So again, welcome everybody. And I'd like to go over, my hope today in this overview is that you walk away with a keener knowledge around our strategy to help our customers, like yourselves, lower your overall MRO spend and gain a better understanding of how we at Rockwell differentiate ourselves from the multitude of other repair suppliers through remanufacturing your assets versus simply repairing them. So to get us grounded, I'd like to ask a rhetorical question for you to think about, as we dive into this webinar. And my question is this, what incentive do all of those other repair suppliers have to reduce the number of repairs that you personally send out each year? They pretty much have a break fix model, and it's the only way they keep their doors open. You break it, they fix it. We at Rockwell are not going to work ourselves out of a job if we reduce the number of items you send out for repair. And I'll go into that in more detail in a few minutes. But with that said, let's get started. And I always try to start a meeting with a safety tip. And I think, currently with COVID-19, it's probably more pertinent than anything. So I know everyone pays attention at work and is safe. I would just ask you to consider, always continuing to wash your hands. It's been proven time and again that soap and water is better than alcohol and all the other things. So as you're going through your daily routines, whether you're working out of your home, a flex office, or if you're in a manufacturing plant, be very mindful because it only takes one mistake. Be very mindful. Wash your hands again and again and again with soap and water, warm water. So again, that's my safety tip. So as you can see, I want to go through some manufacturing challenges on the agenda here. What we do at Rockwell or Allen Bradley and from remanufacturing, what our approach is, our strategy with our customers, and then helping our clients make data-driven decisions. I'll show some reporting that we can do for you. Then I'll also touch on some of the non-Rockwell things that we do. I jokingly say that we're probably one of Rockwell's best kept secrets. People didn't realize that you can get a Rockwell or an Allen Bradley unit remanufactured to like new or better. And then the sixth is we'll just take a look at something called My Rockwell. It really has been out for a while, but again, I think it's very pertinent with COVID-19 out here to give you an option to get things remanufactured without having to interface with a lot of people. The last thing I'll ask you to do is just please mute your phones during this time, please. So the first thing, and I hope all of us are cognizant enough that we really try to understand our customers' business issues. And I would ask you, as you look at these, are these some of the pressures that you're under? Besides running a plant, you also asked to, reduce pricing and you've got budget constraints and cut down downtime, reduce your overall MRO costs. I imagine some of these look familiar to everyone on the phone here today, but that's really what drives us. People tend to forget that we're a manufacturer as well. So we've got a lot of the same goals that you do. And I take that knowledge personally and bring it with me, to each customer that I go to better understand what they're trying to accomplish and what their goals are, right? So with that said, everyone's along a different line, a different continuum of where they're at. And the reason I show this is I think together we face a cultural challenge this survey that was put out was asked of maintenance, what type of person gets the most recognition in your facility or your location or your plant? And unfortunately, the biggest responses was that emergency work, right? That reactive maintenance. The person that comes in at 2 a.m. to fix something is looked at as the hero, as opposed to, wait a minute, that's probably not the smartest way to conduct our business. So whatever efforts you've currently got going on, I applaud you, number one. Two is I also want to let you know you're not alone. This, again, hopefully with the proper strategies, incorporating some preventative and predictive maintenance, it won't all be reactive, right? So again, I just wanted to put that out there, that you're not alone in your challenges and in this journey. So let's gain some perspective around quality asset management and reliability. There's two things I want to bring your attention to in this particular slide. What top performers do relative to their performance in two metrics, really. One is unscheduled downtime. So the best in class, or the top 20, have under 4% unscheduled asset downtime, and an OEE, if you're familiar with that, overall equipment effectiveness of 89%, versus those that are what they considered laggards or on the bottom. I mean, literally 4 times more unscheduled downtime than the best in class, and a 20-point difference in OEE. And anyone that's dealt with OEE understands that, a 0.5% or 1% can add millions to your bottom line. So as you look at that, ask yourself, where your organization or even your department is relative to unscheduled downtime and OEE. Okay. What we're going to talk about today, as I mentioned, is improving your operational and financial performance. By really what we're talking about today is just this, what I call low-hanging fruit, just around the remanufacturing and repair management. No one's going to fix, the issues that you have got in a week or a month. I mean, quite frankly, if it was easy, you'd have done it already. But what we wanted to talk about today really is just this first step on the left side that I've got circled, that kind of walks through a roadmap when you're thinking about improving your operational effectiveness, right? Repair management naturally ties into storeroom and inventory management here. Then you're starting to look at life cycle management and those types of things. And then basically, how do I get the most out of my assets? What is my asset performance like? But really what we're going to talk about today is just on the left-hand side around repair management. What I'm showing you here, I'll build the slide up, is really the cornerstone of our strategy with our customers. At the end of the day, my goal and our goal as an organization in Rexel is to help you drive down your overall MRO expenses. Remanufacturing and repairs is a component of that, but really what we're trying to do is drive down the level of the pond. Over on the left-hand side, you'll see some of the characteristics of a purely supply chain mentality, which is that break-fix model. The more things you break, the more things we'll fix, right? And you can see the characteristics. It lends itself to, reactive maintenance and very transactional based and price only. What did we pay last time? It's very price driven in a supply chain. Over on the right-hand side, as I mentioned, us trying to drive down your overall MRO expenses, we really incorporated demand chain mentality, right? We want to understand what is driving the demand that you've got and drive that demand down, right? It's very value driven. It's, our goal is to improve your MTBF, or your mean time between failure. If we can do that, we will drive down, and we all win in that regard. We'll drive down your overall MRO expenses. I don't think it's realistic to be all demand chain. You want to be somewhere in the middle. There's always going to be some supply chain, not only mentality, but some procedures that take place that are truly a break-fix model, and that's fine. But we really need to incorporate more demand chain. So that, we feel is really the cornerstone of our strategy with our customers, is to help you drive down the demand that you've got. This graphic really shows you on the left-hand side, if I can get an asset to last longer for you, drive this red line here up, then you're getting more out of that asset. Your investment is better as well, right? You want your mean time between failures to go up and to trend that way. And at the same time, over on the right-hand side, trend down your failure rates, right? So by reducing the demand and improving the reliability of your assets, you're going to increase your machine availability. And by default, we hope, your OEE, your overall equipment effectiveness. So part of that, as I mentioned, the one thing we're going to talk about today is remanufacturing. For Rockwell Automation, or as you may know it as Allen Bradley. What is remanufacturing? We differentiate ourselves from the I'll call them mom and pop shops that are out there. There's over 600 repair suppliers in North America. You and I in the garage can start a business out there, and that's not what we do. It's not, again, as a manufacturer, nowhere near the kind of strategy that we want to employ for ourselves or for our customers. Remanufacturing is in this case for us ISO certified process performed by Rockwell, the OEM, to return a used piece of equipment to like new or better. So and I'm going to repeat this again in a few slides from here, but basically it's performed by our factory trained technicians. Your units, when they're brought in to be remanufactured, are updated with the latest firmware. The serial numbers are logged for historic record keeping. Again, as a manufacturer, I don't want to see that unit come back a second time, right? So we will keep serial numbers on that. We'll verify all the OEM specified components. We use only our vetted OEM components to remanufacture a unit. At the end of that, we do a full functional test. I'm going to go into more of this in a little bit more detail. But that's what remanufacturing is. Much longer word than repair, but that's how we distinguish ourselves between everyone else that's out there, is that unit is brought back to like new or better. If you're not familiar with what we do, just a very quick commercial for us as not being a mom and pop. We've got 15 remanufacturing centers around the world and 9 exchange hubs. By an exchange hub, I mean we've got a large hub in Indianapolis, or just outside of Indianapolis. Think of it as a very big storeroom where we can support our customers. So I keep, as you can see, millions of dollars in inventory there that I can get to you the next day if you have that need in an emergency. I also keep over $100 million in just inventory to replace in components and stuff, just to repair and remanufacture our components. We are ISO certified, so we have a documented process around the whole remanufacturing, as well as 14001, which is environmental. So there's no waste in our facility when it comes to remanufacturing. Everything we provide an in-service warranty, remanufactured to our own OEM specs, and obviously we own all of the intellectual property. So when I talk about firmware updates, if that's important to you, no one else legally can do that because it's our intellectual property. So that's something that to consider as well. So I want to take a step, to take a pause here and go through a couple of these steps here. I won't go through all of them, and I know it looks a little bit like an eye chart, but at the end of the day, this is our proprietary process. So on the left-hand side, as soon as we get a unit, if it's deemed warranty, we'll check it against that. The catalog number, the series of that unit, and the revision data is verified for warranty. Again, as a manufacturer, we need to understand and we want to know if something's under warranty. We'll obviously honor that, but that goes into our parts per million metrics. So that's why we track that as well. So in that first step, we're checking it for warranties. If Rexel submits it in as under a warranty, that is the very first thing we'll do. So besides that, that's an advantage for us, but we also now, if it's under warranty, you're not going to be charged for that repair or that remanufactured unit, versus, as I said, and I'll probably refer to this again and again, versus that supply chain mentality, which is you keep breaking it, we'll keep fixing it. That's not how we go to market. The second step is we will completely disassemble and clean that asset, that unit of yours, whether it's an HMI, a PLC, or a drive. Excuse me. We will clean that and upgrade it with the latest proprietary release to bring it back to our own OEM specs, right? In that third purple column there, each component is reviewed and inspected and undergoes a trend analysis. We will rebuild any damaged and outdated printed, PCBs, printed circuit boards. We check for anything that is stressed or worn, and we proactively will go ahead and replace that as well. And the example I give are capacitors. You have a drive sent in, smoke got out of it somewhere and there was a problem. When we go through this process, if we know those capacitors are near end of life, but that wasn't the failure, we go ahead and proactively will replace those for you. As I said, what you'll get back from us is a like new or better unit than what you sent in. After that, we then kind of put it through its paces through a dynamic functional test. So any unit, again, HMI, a drive, a PLC, is put into a functional test stand with all the operational parameters tested to make sure that it is performing as intended. Again, many of the repair suppliers out there don't do functional testing. I would say most of them don't. They do a board level repair, and that's the end of that. Then, depending on your circumstances, we can go through environmental testing. We do a final quality inspection, and we've actually engineered our own shipping back to you, the boxes that things come in. I always think of, Christmas time when you see on the news somebody from UPS or not to single anyone out, Amazon, somebody throwing a box over. We've engineered our boxes to make sure that your units come back in one piece the way they're supposed to. So again, this is entirely different and it is proprietary, but it's different than you'll get from anyone out there that says, hey, I can repair that. I would tell you that people don't follow these processes. So, again, this is my opinion, but when you combine near equivalent parts per million quality with proactive replacement of your components, again, we check for stress-worn areas with the firmware updates to increase the functionality and the life of that unit and do a full functional test with, OEM components and, usually 40 to 50% discount off your cost of new. And, we feel like that's a pretty good argument that, to look at the Allen Bradley line, getting it remanufactured is not only a good business decision, but a good alternative for you that are under budget constraints. You are not compromising quality for a lower price. So that kind of walks you through what we do from a remanufacturing standpoint. There's also a very good YouTube, it's out on YouTube, which I'll show at the end of this website, or excuse me, a web link that'll walk you through in about 4 minutes what our processes are at our facility. What I wanted to show you here really is I'm in front of customers quite a bit, and I hear, and they don't particularly like it sometimes, but they'll say, look, I'm getting spares, I'm getting my spares from eBay or from a surplus provider, and there's a lot of them out there. There's a lot of repair suppliers that now sell surplus equipment, and I want to bring a couple points to your attention. Two in particular. Let's say you go out and you purchase off of eBay or somewhere else a used unit, a used drive. You don't know if that unit has been modified in any way, and God forbid that the gate doesn't open when it's supposed to, or it does open when it's not supposed to, and somebody in your facility gets hurt because a unit was modified because you bought it from what we call the gray market. That's a real problem. And, so safety is number one. Second thing I draw your eyes to, please, is the cybersecurity risk. I jokingly ask quite often, if you were to leave your plant today and walk outside and you saw a tube of chapstick on the ground, would you pick it up and use it? And, the answer is always a resounding, no way. Or even a thumb drive. If you found one, would you stick it in your computer anymore? The same holds true really for when you're buying used equipment from an unknown market, and you put that into your network, put that into your system over your network, you are running a real risk of malware and viruses. And there's a real cybersecurity risk that you're exposing yourself to. Not to mention, if you're FDA, Food and Drug, if you've got validation requirements. But two overwhelming things that I want to bring to your attention is the cybersecurity risk by buying used equipment, as well as the safety. And again, complete transparency. Quite frankly, we've been in business now for 118 years or so. We want to protect our brand, much like you do. We put obviously a lot of time and energy into protecting that, and we don't want a lesser quality component coming into your facility and exposing you to risks that you don't need to be, that you don't need to have, either through cybersecurity or safety or some of the other issues here. So again, remanufacturing eliminates those risks because you're going back to us and going through the process that I showed you just a second ago. So when you compare apples and I say to oranges here, on the left-hand side, we have a demand chain model, the idea being to reduce your overall MRO costs, right? And the number of repairs. As I said, we're not going to work ourselves out of a job if I can reduce the number of repairs. It's performed by us, the OEM, by factory trained technicians with proprietary tools, schematics, intellectual property, firmware updates. The reman is validated with a full functional test. Over on the right, it's more of a, right off the bat, a different approach. It's more supply chain. They're independent shops. They're definitely not factory trained. They definitely don't use our OEM components. And more times than not, nothing is fully functionally tested. So what you do get is a lower price, right? And that, in my mind, accounts for the increased reliability risk that you've got. So on the left, you've got the things that we do through our ISO processes, and over on the right, or I think some of the compromises that you may make for cost versus, getting that unit back on to your line to help, your production. So there's a few different options. Very quickly, if you were to send an IO card in, we've really got three options that we've come up with feedback over the years from our customers and their needs. One is what we just call economy. You send us, and the same process hold true for any service level, but the same, the options that you have for economy, you send that IO card up and we'll go through the processes that I showed you and you'll get your unit back in 2 to 3 weeks. The other option is you send that unit up, but if we have one in stock, a like for like unit that's been remanufactured, again, same series and everything else, we can get that back to you in 3 or 5 days. So we leverage the inventory that I mentioned in our hub and get that back to you in a few days. And then the priority service is, hey, I've got to have it tomorrow morning. We got caught with our pants down. We don't have one in our storeroom. There's not one local. I need one tomorrow morning. We can ship that out to your priority and you'll get that the next day. Again, there's no difference in the workmanship, the remanufacturing. It's just the service level, whether you want it back in a couple of weeks, if you want it back in a few days, or if you need it the next day. So those are your options that we have that can support you from an asset standpoint, a repair and remanufacturing standpoint. Kind of want to move on a little bit now. What we've been talking about is just this side here, right? Reducing the repair management. I want to show you a few different reports that we can provide to you to basically, put our money where our mouth is, if you will. Our goal is, as I mentioned, is to improve your MTBF, your mean time between failures. So over time, if we've got some programs that there's no cost to, that over time, if enough units come in, we can start running reports for you, showing you what your mean time between failures are on that unit, which I would hope that's important to you, right? Again, in my mind, if you can use that asset longer, it's a better investment. It's a better use of your money, and it obviously helps with your machine uptime as well. We can also show you your top failures, right? And as you see these colors here, where it is. So this is all Allen Bradley. You can see, we'll tell you where that unit is in its life cycle. Has that unit been discontinued? Is it near end of life? Is it active in your facility, or is it active mature, right? Meaning, hey, it's still good. We still use it, but it's been here for a while. So we can tell you the count of failures by the part number and where it is in the life cycle as well. Some of you may be running maintenance management systems, and I still talk to quite a few customers that don't. So if this is a value to you, we can provide some reporting to you just around your asset management, your repairs and remanufacturing. That gives you kind of a dashboard look at where your money's being spent and start making some better decisions around that. On this slide, I'm showing you your repair costs by commodity and where it is in its life cycle. So in this example, you can see over here in the upper right, this particular customer is spending a lot more getting obsolete parts repaired, which may be okay. They may not have the budget or the bandwidth right now to do an upgrade, but it does break down the commodity and where that unit is in its life cycle, and then the count of the repairs as well. Okay, and then also on the bottom right shows you by month and year on the repairs. Something also I mentioned MTBF. Another acronym is MTTR, the mean time to repair, how long it takes to get something turned around. That is important. So we can also run reporting for you that would break that out as well to show you the average turnaround time by which vendor. Then obviously this is a bit of a softball question, but I'll often ask, how do you get your arms around your processes, and do you track your warranties? And I can't tell you any customer that's ever told me they do a good job around this. It's a problem for everybody. There's fewer people doing more in manufacturing these days. And nobody has the bandwidth or the time or the processes in place to track a warranty. And as I mentioned, if you go back to the demand chain model that I showed you, and then step one in our ISO process, if it's under warranty as a manufacturer, we want to know that, right? Because we do trend analysis on our repairs as well. And if we were to see, a spike in that, our engineering staff will go back and look at that and say, what's going on with this? So, warranty not only will save you money, but it helps us as we track it to improve our products, over time. So that's some of the reporting that I wanted to show you. In the few minutes that we've got, what the other thing I'd like to share with you is this is another area of business that we provide, another service for our customers. I've been talking the whole time around Allen Bradley and Rockwell Automation, but we actually have a facility in Munster, Indiana, which is a suburb of south of Chicago, just south of Chicago, about a 40,000 square foot facility where we do a lot of non-Rockwell. You can see some of the transactions that we do. Again, we follow the same ISO processes. We don't call it remanufacturing, right, because of the intellectual property, but relative to the processes that we go through, as I showed you those 7 steps, we follow those same processes on the non-Rockwell, right? So you can see some of the transactions that we do and the capabilities. We keep over 1,200 test stands up there. I'm going to show you a few pictures here, but over 1,200 test stands, so we can do a functional test after a repair is completed. Okay. This is just a broad swipe at a number of the manufacturers that we do see. Over on the left, you can see the types of products that we can repair, and over on the right, some of the manufacturers. I'll pause there just to let you eyeball for a second, but this is again by no means all that we do. So again, I'll show you some highlights, and I just thought the pictures might be worth looking at when we talk about functional testing. Our test stands are here. So after, in this case, our servo drives and motor support with some of the manufacturers you can see there, and how we go about on the controls there to test them. And I'll just go through a couple of the slides here. So on motion control on the left-hand side, you can see power supplies and motors. Functional test for engine mat, motion controllers on the right-hand side. Right. Servo drives and motor as well. Servo controllers. Again, the purpose of me putting these in here so you could look at see the pictures at least. And then also, if you've got a manufacturing site that's got robots, we do a number of different robots, but I'm just highlighting. You see a lot of Fanuc out there. We've got we've got investments in that, over 20,000 parts that we can support either through a repair them, or we can actually have an exchange program as well. Now, I can't get you these particular parts overnight, but instead of 3 or 4 months, you can get it in 4 to 6 weeks versus 4 to 6 months. So I just wanted to highlight one area that we also do on the non-Rockwell. So servo motors and the drives and the computers and the teach pendants as well. So far what I've shown you is our processes around remanufacturing, the quality that we instill in all of our remanufacturing, as well as the non-Rockwell. What is new, and I mentioned on the agenda to talk a little bit about, is, it's probably new to many of you. It's been out for a while, but it's a My Rockwell site, and you can see the website there. I would ask at the end of this that you, or if you can, write this down, sign up for your own account. But I want to walk you through a couple things that you can do here, especially now with COVID-19 and keeping social distancing. Is you can sign up for this, just get start a username and password, and you can go in when you log in here. You can search for parts, manage, and that's what I'm going to show you today real quickly is manage. And then, you can browse a lot of information in here. But if you go under manage, what it'll take you to here is your bill of materials, any apps that you may have, your repairs, your account, and your recent activity. So under manage, I will go under and you can create a quote, where you can view your orders. So if you create a quote, it'll take you to this page, and on the left-hand side, you can either look up a Rockwell part, an Allen Bradley, over on the right-hand side, a non-Rockwell part. So it gives you the ability to search right then, in your own private web portal. So let's say you clicked on the Rockwell on the left-hand side, and you're looking for the 1756. It'll tell you what it is. You can add it to a bill of material, but what I like about this is it'll tell you where it is in its life cycle. It's active, it's green, right? It's not active mature, it's not end of life or discontinued. So it'll tell you right off the bat where it is in its life cycle. And then if you wanted to, whoops, I went a little bit too fast there. It'll give you the option then to say, hey, I want a quote on this right here. If you see down right here, add to repair quote, you can click on that, and that will go to your Rexel representative. They'll be notified, and then they can turn around and quote you on that. So the point of showing you a few of these slides is, A, it's been out for a while, but it does give you access to all of our inventory, if you will, what is repairable and where it is in its life cycle. If it's a non-Rockwell, you can request a quote for that, and we typically quote things in about a day. There may be some extenuating circumstances, but we're pretty good about getting a quote back within a day's time on a non-Rockwell part. Okay, so that pretty much sums up what we wanted to present today, both the kind of the lay of the land in manufacturing, the remanufacturing, and our approach. Again, our goal is to drive down your MRO costs, and we feel like we do that through, giving you better data, through a better quality repair, not compromising quality, and driving down your overall repairs. So our ask today really is share our passion for continuous improvement and inform data-driven decisions, and that's what I think I hope we can provide you through the reporting over time. Go ahead, if you haven't already, sign up for my Rockwell account. As I said, it's free. Just you create your own account, username and password. If you have any questions about the things that I've reviewed today, or any comments or issues, contact your Rexel representative. Either they can answer those questions, get you more information, or contact someone within our organization, myself or others, to get you answers. And I've got this, I mentioned it earlier, this web link here. It's about a 4.5-minute video that I think does a really good job showing you what our facility is and how we go through our 7-step process. And then lastly, I would say it all the time to be safe, but even more so today. Be safe. Remember the safety tip: wash your hands as much as you can. And I wish you the best of luck. Thank you for your time.
All right, everyone. I'd like to open it up and see if there's any questions coming in. Let's see on the chat lines here. Give me 1 second. If anybody has any questions for Rich, he's live now. So if anybody does have anything or need anything, please feel free to unmute your mic and ask away. All right, give me 1 second.
Covered everything.
Thank you.
Hey, Damon. Hey, Rich.
Yeah.
This is Erica McConnell. I just wanted to point out for those of you on the line who have a login for the knowledge base, you actually already have login credentials for My Rockwell. They are the same, so you wouldn't need to sign up for a new account. You can use those credentials to log in to both.
Great. Thank you, Erica. Great. Anyone else with anything? Thank you, Erica.
Even this is Rich. You even don't get nasty, but any comments, any issues or corrections, by all means, I'm always looking for feedback. I mentioned continuous improvement. There's no way that we can go into the depths of what we do in 30 minutes, but are there, if not any questions, any comments? Was this helpful at any level?
Well, I can tell you, Rich, I thought it was quite helpful as far as just kind of opening my eyes a bit as far as what the process is and how much information you guys have available on the products and to the customers. So I think, even myself be utilizing the My Rockwell website.
Yeah. Okay, good. I hope a big takeaway is, our goal, I said it about 1,000 times on that recorded piece, but is really to drive down the number of repairs you have, right?
Yep.
Drive down your overall MRO. If that's part of your strategy, whether it's through repairs or a storeroom, reducing inventory or improving uptime, I think we've got the right approach.
Oh, most definitely. Most definitely. So great, great. Well, thank you everyone for your time. Thank you, Rich, for the great presentation. Like Rich said, he's available. I'm available as well. Or contact your Rexel representative if you need any help in the repair reman world, or even just getting on my Rockwell type piece. So thank you everyone for your time today. Join us next week at 10 as we discuss modernization through migration. So if anybody needs anything else, please feel free, give me a shout out, go from there, and everyone have a great day.
Yeah. Thanks, Damon.
Thank you. Take care now.